Alrighty, away we go. On a Wednesday, it is the Chico Bormann Show here on the Big Play Sports Network. Glad to have you along as we are midweek. And, of course, not your normal Browns week as we have Monday Night Football. So we got to wait. After all of that excitement on Sunday, we have to wait an extra day or two for Monday Night Football. But that's okay. It will be worth the wait come Monday evening in Pittsburgh. All right, it is the Chico Bormann Show with you until 2 o'clock. You want to get involved, you can certainly do that at Chico Show CLE. You can also do so by phoning in 216-626-7901. Boom, you all right? You're laughing already? Yesterday you were pouting. What's going on?
I got a notification that I got a follower by the name of Onion Boy.
Onion Boy? Yeah. Is it Bill Raftery?
I have no idea.
It could be Bill Raftery. Maybe Bill Raftery goes by Onion Boy on Twitter.
Yeah, I was a little perplexed by that one. Thought it was a little silly, so it made me smile.
Onion Boy, I like that.
Onion Boy.
That. All right. You can follow us on Twitter too, Onion Boy, at Chico Show CLE on YouTube. We also stream the show live there, and you can comment there at the Chico Bormann Show. And of course, now available wherever you get your podcasts. And we are streaming live on iHeartRadio from noon until 2. So, lot to get to. It is a Wednesday. We will talk a little baseball. Season winding down. A lot of stuff to talk about still. Little Guardians, but around MLB. We do that each and every Wednesday during the season with our former All-Star second baseman buddy, Bret Boone. So, we'll talk to him at 12:30. But other than that, wide open. I think it's funny, Bowman. I mentioned this to a little bit yesterday with Nick Shook on our bald breakdown, our debut. Mike Tomlin was quoted as saying he was watching the film, right, getting ready for Monday night, and asked about the Browns. And of course, he's praising him, and he says, "I think the secondary won it for him." Like, I love the fact that we have debates on who was it. Was it the front four? Was it Miles and Za'Darius? Was it Denzel and Newsome and Emerson? You've had, as I said yesterday, you've had a great day. You've had a great day at the office when you beat the Bengals, you throttle the Bengals, and can't quite figure out where the credit should go on the defensive side of the ball. Like I said, when you have that marriage of D-line and secondary like they have, and they put on full display in week 1, it's a beautiful thing. Now they've got to continue to do it, but I saw that comment from Tomlin, and then, you can go through and another, analyst or another coach might say, wow, I really thought that front four dominated. It's a beautiful thing when people can't seem to get on the same page on who dominated more, who was more responsible, your front line or your back secondary.
Chico, I thought that, and I almost brought it up on Fair or Foul. I almost had it written down, that Tomlin statement. Because he's really not giving enough credit to that defensive line. Yes, the secondary looked great. Emerson, that Denzel Ward.
That's how you took it.
Yeah. That's a slight at the defensive line.
No, it's not.
It kind of is.
Boom. Mike Tomlin is one of the most professional, and he doesn't give teams fodder. He was praising. I mean, for all we know, he could have been asked a question about the secondary. I'm sure it didn't come in the form of, yeah, Mike, Jerry Dulac, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Hey, who do you think's responsible for that win on the defense? Oh, definitely the secondary. It could have been, hey, you saw what Ward and what Martin Emerson and Greg Newsome did to the likes of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. You guys are going to be down Deontay Johnson. We're really upset about that. Your number one wide receiver, how are you going to fare? Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I thought the secondary really won the game. It was not a slight at the defensive line.
I mean, the fact that he's not acknowledging how Zadarius Smith set the tempo.
Are you just trying to stir shit up today? Just be honest. It's all right.
No, like I thought about making this a fair or foul topic because it seemed like if I'm a Browns defensive lineman, I could perceive that as a slight.
So do you think Mike Tomlin?
I don't think he did it intentionally, but to say that secondary won them the game when the defensive line was such a huge factor.
They both were. That's the whole
absolutely.
point.
They were. Yes. But the fact that he's only acknowledging one of them and disregarding the other.
Like I said, now is
if they're going to take Cleveland as Cleveland as fodder, how is this like?
He didn't say that.
No, I know. But like if they thought that was bad, I feel like they could think this is bad.
You're the first person I've heard bring it up. And this is from a town that they're looking for slights. They will make up a slight if they can. We're
slight starved.
They will move mountains, tall buildings to find a slight that they can be upset about. It's nowhere to be found, but folks, Michael Bohm, our producer here at Chico Show, the Chico Bormann Show at Chico Show CLE, Michael Bohm has found it, and he's blaming Mike Tomlin for simply saying, I think the secondary won them the game.
I said what I said. It could be a thing. That's all I'm saying. It could be a thing.
Yeah, it could be, but
it's not implausible.
Here's the thing.
I don't know if that's a word.
If it came from a, don't worry about it. You never worried about it before. Don't worry about it now. If it came from like a player, it still wouldn't be a slight. But like I know damn well that guy is as buttoned up. Now that doesn't mean that he doesn't speak. I like Mike Tomlin. I don't care what anybody said, and I'm not saying you don't.
Same.
You don't like him. I like Mike Tomlin. I thought it was laughable last year, the last couple of years, when people in Pittsburgh, Filipponi being one of them, saying like, "Oh, Tomlin's got to go." Like, are you guys out of your minds? Like, this guy is one of the best to do it. And I'm not saying he's the best in the league, but he knows what the hell he's doing. He dealt with the drama. By the way, speaking of drama in Pittsburgh, did you see Antonio Brown?
Oh, what did he do now?
He's letting him know he's available.
Oh.
Now that would be...
It's that... No way that ever happened.
What if he helicoptered into the practice field today? He's like, I'm back.
Yeah, Chico, the antics, they're not going to lessen to any degree. You just know it.
No, they're not. Again, that's what I say. Mike Tomlin was able to hold that together with clowns like that, who was a great clown as a player, but he was a clown nonetheless. He was able to hold it together and ultimately said, okay, enough's enough. I don't care about his production. I can't, same with Juju Smith-Schuster. By the way, Chase Claypool, did you see him for our boy Justin Fields in Chicago? Just kind of giving a half-ass effort, not running out of pattern.
I wonder whether he's going to make it through the season in Chicago. I mean,
Fields or Claypool?
Claypool. Yeah, that wasn't the greatest performance out of Fields either. I'm a little concerned. I feel like it's not all his fault. That offensive line looked kind of atrocious. But yeah, it's.
Do you know we were doing when you were out, when you were partying down south or whatever the hell it was you were doing. You were working. I know you were with the band.
Sometimes.
You were making sweet music. Ryan and I, we went through like bold predictions. It could be, you thought a team was going to be good and they're not, or a team that you think presumably is going to be bad and we're going to pick them to be good. Chicago was the team that I thought. I'm like, you know what? Their defense was breeding Albert Breer and coming. Their defense is going to be good, and Fields will take a step. Now it's only one game, but I did have the Bears like sniffing that division, not ultimately winning it because I like the Lions. But if one game is any indication, This just in, it's not. But if one game is any indication, that was ugly for the Chicago Bears. I still can't believe you, Boom. Like, I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do that surprises me anymore. And I'm sure it's vice versa. But I did not expect you to, the whole point of starting the show with that was like, wow, this is exactly what I was talking about. Pre-game yesterday was, you can't, when things are going well on your defense with your pass rush and the back end and the secondary, you almost can't tell. It's like a chicken egg type thing. Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, certain plays, yeah, you can, but when they're really, speaking of making sweet music, when they're making sweet music together, it's just, you can't tell. But count on you to find the perceived you're like, you're going to get a job with the Kansas City Chiefs, because now, like, after you win back to back and, people are like, well, we got to make something up. Call Bohm. He'll make something. He'll find something for you.
Every team needs a bulletin board guy.
By the way, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift.
That's exciting. That's really exciting. I hope he brings her to Cleveland. Obviously, her tour didn't.
Do we think they're really?
We know for a fact that he made a move.
Yeah, and I thought it was kind of like,
it supposedly got shut down, but the reports are that they're quietly talking.
You know what this is?
They're probably like texting.
This is like Mav and Kelly McGillis in Top Gun, where she pretends to say, like, it's going to take a lot more than fancy flying, Lieutenant. And then she hands him the paper with the number, and then the smelly guy in front of him says, crash and burn, Mav? And he's like, Kazansky, you stink.
Chico, I saw the wildest stat about Taylor Swift in that, like, her Eras tour, when it comes to town, brings in 3 times the revenue of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, this is okay. I'm glad you brought that up. This is where I wanted to go with it.
That's absurd.
As huge, and we love Travis Kelce here. I don't care, Chiefs or not. You love Travis Kelce.
Imagine him and Tay walking down the streets of Cleveland Heights.
No. Now, would you just hang on a second, Bohm? Hold your horses, Bohm. Do they say that anymore?
That's a good question. I haven't heard it in a while.
What did they? I mean, how long ago? And where did it actually originate? Where someone said, "Hey, hold your horses!" Oh,
that had to be like some 1700 stuff, like the horse and buggy days.
So, would Travis Kelce, and just go with me here, he's a superstar in the world of football. He would be almost out of his element, because what Taylor Swift gets, like, yeah, I'm not saying that Travis Kelce's able to walk, but like, he was in Cleveland for much of the summer. He spent some time in Cleveland. He was spotted at Town Hall. And, yeah, I'm sure he had guys there to protect him. But for the most part, he's, hey, how's it going? You ain't doing that with Taylor Swift. You're not going out to the just a local watering hole with
security.
KK. I mean, first of all, you got James Rapine who's stalking her. So he's going to be lurking in the bushes somewhere.
Yeah, maybe this will bring Rapine back to Cleveland.
Oh, man. But, okay, I want to I'll move on here in a second. I feel like Kelce would not be, even though he is a superstar, even though he's famous, and I mean, in the world of the NFL, like, and not just because he's great, because he has the personality, but I think his celebrity pales in comparison. Like Taylor Swift, I heard certain, you would know this, Bohm. You've probably heard of it. Maybe you're a part of it. In Soho, there's certain like celebrities where like they actually live kind of like their entrance to go to where they live is underground, as to avoid like normal folk, paparazzi and stuff like that. Like that's the life Taylor Swift lives. Travis Kelce's famous, but he doesn't have to go to those lengths.
I agree. Taylor Swift is arguably like the most famous person in the world right now. I mean, she's easily the biggest superstar. She's selling out stadiums across the world with back orders, like lists unlike any ever
Yeah.
before her. Like this is modern day Beatlemania, what we're witnessing.
Yes.
It's the closest thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that would be a rude awakening. And as crazy as I know it sounds, like, come on, it's Kelsey. You think he has not fame on that level?
Yeah.
What if he was like, after like a month or so, he's like, sweetheart, this has been fun, and you're great, and you're Taylor Swift, but this is.
I just hope. I hope she references Cleveland in the breakup songs.
Of course you do.
That'd be
course
cool.
Of course,
you know. I mean, she's very specific with like she wrote a song about her ex John Mayer, and it was like Dear John, and she's very specific with her breakup songs.
Who else did John Mayer date?
Oof.
Didn't he date Katie Holmes?
That's possible.
Didn't he date?
I'd buy that.
Yeah, forget it. We're going down a rabbit hole.
We're in the Hollywood gossip section.
No, that's all right. I mean, usually I don't. I can't even. I don't even want to discuss it because I can't hang with anybody. But I did see this yesterday, and then I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, I thought that ship had sailed. Like he tried. He shot his shot, as the kids like to say. Shoot your shot, man. And he did, and was like, no, but this is very much like I said, it's Kelly McGillis. It's going to take a lot more than fancy flying. Here's my number, Mav. And come on over on your motorcycle, Mav. But no, you can't shower before dinner, Mav.
Well, as the kids say, Chico, let's hope Kelsey doesn't fumble the bag.
Yes. Thank you, Bo. All right. So, Browns Steelers coming up on Monday night. Bone believes that Mike Tomlin's comment saying the secondary won the game for the Browns, secondary was the difference, however it was phrased, that should be perceived as a slight to the defensive line, Myles Garrett and company.
Just imagine Mike Tomlin being asked about the defensive line. He's like, yeah, not a factor.
Yeah, he's like, Myles who? Oh, Garrett. Yeah. You mean the kid out of he went to A&M? What 95? Yeah.
They say he's all right.
Yeah, I've seen him occasionally. Sometimes he flashes on tape. So sometimes I've seen him, make some big plays. He knows what's coming. And here's the thing: that place will be rocking. I mean, yeah, okay, we know that, but like the Steelers, they don't. I was more shocked. San Francisco's a great team, and it might really speak volumes about just how great they are. But again, we never know because it's week one. San Francisco came into Pittsburgh and throttled them. You heard Nick's numbers that matter, minus 23. That was the worst deficit at home in the Mike Tomlin era. Like, that just doesn't happen. They got their clocks cleaned. So they're going to be coming out. They're going to be angry. They're going to be all that stuff. But how angry can Dan Moore get that makes Dan Moore better than the 75th out of 75 tackles ranked by PFF this past week? I mean, yeah, you can get angry and you can, I don't know, somebody tell start a rumor in the locker room. Hey, Dan, somebody slept with your wife. Maybe that pisses him off and that gets, but you're the 75th tackle ranked by PFF from week one. And that offensive line is going to be, Kenny Pickett thought he was, and he did. He was sacked 5 times. He was hit 10. I mean, he took a beating, but I don't think he has any idea what's coming on Monday. Now, here's the flip side of that. The Browns might be looking at that too on the other side. You've got 2 tackles, and we're talking about the injury to Conklin and DeJuan Jones, but let's be honest, it's not just the right tackle position that they're going to be exploiting. Jed Wills, in a very noisy, hostile environment where you've got that much on the line. Is Jed Wills going to be okay? Is Jed Wills going to rise to the occasion? Is Jed Wills, because this is where now you're on the road against the Steelers. It's Monday night, the bright lights, the bright stage, the biggest stage. is he going to be, are they going to be disciplined, but is he going to be disciplined? This is where, you flinched a little bit, 5 yards. Now you're in your head. So as much as we're talking about our defense being able to rattle them, and I think they will, we got to make sure that the same, doesn't happen. And how do you do that? Well, you get on the board early. You do things to take away the crowd. When it's 2nd and 2, the crowd's not going to be as fired up as when it's 3rd and long. So if it's 2nd and 2 and, Nick Chubb off tackle, first down, move the chains, they're kind of just sitting there going, well, this sucks. They're looking at their Walter Abercrombie dirty Steeler jerseys and those muddied, oiled Steelers starter coats that they think are still cool from like the 80s. They still have those. Boom, you don't know what I'm referring to, do you? Starter jackets.
Yeah, I remember those.
You do? No, I'm not. I mean, you do? You're not that old. No.
I've seen the starter jackets, Chico. There are times where I see them like make a sort of resurgence.
All right, let's just be real. I got in trouble when I was in Erie. Steeler fans, they knew I was a Browns fan. And, of course, like any Cleveland fan, Cleveland native, I'm going to make it known that I'm a Cleveland guy. That didn't sit well in Erie because it was a lot of Steeler fans. So one day, it's kind of a setup like this. Like it was a historic, like big old department store that we were in. And then out in the hallway, people would walk by. There were stores, and then there was actually like housing, apartments above us. And I noticed one day, I was like in the middle of doing the show, and I said, why is it, and I'm just thinking out loud, doing the show by myself. I'm like, why is it that every time I look out this window, seemingly, it's a Steeler fan wearing a Steeler starter coat, but it's always filthy dirty. Like it's never new. It's never like clean. It's always just, it's got like mustard stains. And so I used to say, I'm like, do you guys change your oil in these things? Do you guys roll around in mud puddles in these things? Do you squirt mustard on each other at tailgates with these things? Why are they always so filthy dirty? And then I'd say, you guys, I always see it, Steeler fans, they are prone more so than the rest of the population to wear like Wrangler cutoff jean shorts along with like a Bam Morris or a Roy Jarella jersey. Like that's how they roll. That's how they roll. And they didn't really like me too much when I said that. When I essentially referred to them as hillbillies, they didn't really like that too well. So.
You know what, Chico? I have to wonder whether the yellow just shows stains much easier than other colors. I feel like it's just
no. They're dirty. They're not. I can say it now. I mean, hell, if I was brazen enough to say it there in front of them while I was on the air, I'm brazen enough to say it here. They're not the most hygienic folks you've ever met. They're just not. I'm like I said, they'll dress up, they'll have, and I never understood it. Like the Steeler coats, it was never a seasonal thing. A coat should be a seasonal thing, right? A coat should be usually it's a winter coat. Now, pretty boys like Boone, who we're going to bring on here in a moment, I'm sure he's got the, little jacket that he wears over when he goes to the club and all that stuff. But like that's not this. This was Steeler fans that year round they would wear these Steeler coats that were like they were a badge of honor. Whether it was summer, winter, fall, it didn't matter. But again, they were always filthy. They would wear starter coats with their Wrangler cutoff jean shorts. They're just a different breed. Anyway, that'll get us set for the Browns and the Steelers coming up on Monday night. Wow, it's been a while since I went down that road, Boom. Like it was, and I'm not gonna lie, I did a remote one time. Remember, how I always joke with Eric Edholm about going to Damon's and sending him Damon's gift certificates. So we did a Monday Night Football remote. Our station did at a Damon's, and it was a Browns Steelers game. And I started in at the table, like where we were just like set up in a booth, in a Damon's booth doing the show, myself and two other guys. And I started in with the Steeler gear. I didn't initiate it. They asked me about it because they knew that it would get people ticked off. Well, it did, to the point where a guy across the room would not stop staring at me, and it was not, wow, that's a really, what a beautiful head of hair Chico has. It wasn't that type of stare. It was, I want this dude in the parking lot outside ASAP.
You were getting the death stare.
Oh, yeah, he wanted a piece of me, and not a good piece of me. He wanted my ass out in the parking lot, and he wanted to make a point. So they get pretty feisty. They get pretty feisty. All right, so we'll get back into the Browns and the Steelers coming up here in just a bit. The matchups, as I said, you love defense, our defense on the field against that offensive line, against a quarterback still seeing ghosts from Sunday against the 49ers. But that could easily be flipped. That script can easily be flipped the other way for the Browns on offense with T.J. Watt and company, and with Jack Conklin out, DeJuan Jones. The other side, Jedrick Wills. Granted, DeJuan Jones has played very well, but this will be an entirely different atmosphere and different level of talent that they'll be going up against. But we'll get into that in just a bit. Right now, we bring in a guy who Boone strikes me, Bohm, as a guy who would have a jacket for all seasons, right? Like, let me ask you something, Bohm. Do you see Boone when he strolls into the country club and, here's my bag and whatever, and I got a 10-18 tee time. Do you see him kind of like Judge Smales with the sweater tied around his back, like a cashmere sweater? Do you see that from Boone or no?
Depends on the weather.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like Steeler fans and what I was describing was they just wore them year round. It didn't matter. You can wear a coat or a light jacket in fall temperatures or even, spring temperatures, but it's usually a lighter jacket or it's usually very fashionable. That strikes me as something Boone would do. Walking into the golf course. And the former All-Star second baseman and host of the appropriately named Bret Boone podcast joins us here on the Chico Bormann Show. TBP, it's CBS. It's good to have you here. How you doing, buddy?
First of all, we don't wear jackets in California, and I would not be going to the club if it's cold enough that I need a jacket.
What do you mean you don't wear? You just said you. I mean, you first of all, you're coming off the ocean, so there's going to be like, are you?
There's no jackets. Maybe a windbreaker. Maybe if you're a woman, maybe a shawl is appropriate.
A shawl.
I like that word. That's my grandma's word. Shawl.
Shawl. I don't even know what a shawl is.
Will you go get me my shawl? I believe it's on the Davenport. There you go.
Boom. That is not coming from Boone's grandmother.
How you
That's
doing?
Coming from Boone himself. That's coming
How's
from Boone.
How's Bohm doing? That's what I need to know.
Boone, I'm doing well. I was listening to your podcast the other day with Mike Schmidt. I thought that it was cool because my dad was at Ohio University at the same time as Mike Schmidt. So shout out to the Bobcats.
He was a Bobcat, yeah. Good
Wow.
pull there, Bohm. Nice job.
Wow.
Yes, I enjoyed it. It's fascinating that he babysat you when you were just a young pup.
Yeah, Schmitty had that.
I'm sure he was a handful.
I don't know what the word is. I don't know what that would be like babysitting me as a kid.
Hell, that comes to mind.
I know, privilege. No, I don't know. Privilege. Yeah, Schmitty was great. But all those guys when I was a kid, they were like all my uncles,
Like
Schmitty
Pete Rose.
Cole.
I mean, let's like Pete Rose, right?
Big Pete.
Man,
I spent a lot of time with Pete. Loved it. I mean, some of the funnest times are hanging with Pete, and just he's a
Boone.
That's one of the funniest guys I know.
Does Pete Rose really wear dress shirts that say "Hit King" on the collar?
He probably does. He probably does at this point. Yeah. Because my early childhood, I would hang. Me and Petey would hang out. We were the same age.
Young Pete, his son Pete.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, it's Petey Jr. is unbelievable. To listen to him when those two get together. I mean, it's just, hey, Hit King, come here. He calls it Dad Hit King, and it's I can't.
I
even,
believe that. I believe.
I can't do it justice. The conversation between the two. It's just you just got to sit back and enjoy. It's a reality TV show. Well, I named Pete Jr. the hit Prince. He came to the big leagues with Cincinnati, and I believe it was 97 or 98. He got called up for a cup of coffee.
No pressure there, Pete.
And I
now
named
batting
him the
Pete
hit
Rose
Prince.
Jr.
He said, Booney, I called the King last night. Called the King, said I'm getting the call to big leagues. And that's how he talks. That's how he tells stories. And so I named him the Hit Prince. So now he goes by Hit Prince.
That's like the Seinfeld episode when remember Elaine's dating the maestro, the guy that runs the directs, and he's like, I
have
demand
to
be
call
called
him maestro.
I think I could see Pete Rose. I'm sorry, I'm sure he's a nice guy and all that.
No.
I could see Pete Rose saying, I need people to refer to me as the Hit King. Look at my collar. It says it right there. My cuff link. It says it right there. Hit King.
That's where you're wrong. Pete's not like that at all.
No.
He's not that. You must call me that. No, he's not. He's not like that.
Very
he's
humble.
a guy's guy.
You're not telling me he's a humble guy. Come on, Booney. I'm not. I didn't
say he's humble.
Oh, okay.
But he's not one of those guys that demands that you refer to him in a certain way. He's a guy. He's a guy's
That's
guy.
Nice
you want to hang out with him and let him tell stories in the back of the bus on your way to the next game you've got. He's classic.
Okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Bohm, you mentioned the podcast. We're going to kind of go in reverse order here because you've had some, as usual, and I'm not just saying this. Your guest lists have been
unmatched.
Watching it grow and watching you interact with these guys, it's phenomenal. I mean, you go from like Jenny Finch to Mike Schmidt. You had
dare we call it unmatched, Chico?
Well, I mean, if you want to call it unmatched, that's it's up to you. Do you demand that people call you, the podcast unmatched? Is that going to change? It's no longer the Bret Boone podcast. It's the Unmatched podcast.
Go Glover. No, that's not my intro anymore. It's podcast extraordinaire.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as you know. You did have Charlie Steiner. And
I love Charlie.
Now,
I've always loved Charlie.
Did you bring up the Sports Center commercials?
No, because I've had.
He doesn't
and
listen.
Bone will know this. I've had Charlie on before, so he will be one day. He will be in Into the Archives on a Saturday afternoon, where you can listen to the full Charlie Steiner, where we delve deep into the ESPN Sports Center days and all those commercials. So this time around, this was strictly because, he's been the Dodger play-by-play guy for the last 15 years. And I just wanted his insight to the Dodgers this year versus a year ago, all the injuries they've had this year, and Urias, putting on the suspended list, yet through all that and looking at their roster compared to a year ago, it's not even close. And my question to him coming out of the gate was, how the hell are you guys this good with everything that's gone on? I mean, their whole starting rotation's been decimated, yet they're winning the division by 15 games. So this episode of Charlie Steiner is pretty much talking about the Dodgers this year, Dodgers the past 5 or 6 years, and what he thinks of how the NL is going to kind of wrap up this year. Okay,
let me ask you about a team in the National League West, not the LA Dodgers.
Padres, maybe?
Yeah, you got it. Now, let me just I understand that there are, teams go through bad seasons. Wow, the expectations were high and they didn't meet the expectations. Okay, that happens every year. Booney, we're talking about a lineup that is just loaded. We're talking about a payroll that is second only to the New York Mets, yet they're 10 games below 500. Like when you look at
20, the Dodgers are beating them by 20 games. 20. It makes no sense, no rhyme or reason. Quit trying to figure it out. They're 68 and 78. You open the season, you've got Bogarts. Tatis joined him 3 weeks in, but he's been healthy all year. Machado. Who else? So you got Tatis,
Juan
Machado,
Soto,
Bogarts, Juan Soto. Kim has done a wonderful job this year, moving all around. You've got Snell, Darvish, Musgrove, Hader back to being Hader with a 1 ERA. So arguably, if not the top 3 closers in the game. And you're 10 games under 500. It makes absolutely no sense. And I've been thinking about it for a while, like, what could go wrong? It's got to be something internal. And the one thing I know as a player and as an ex-player is once you're an ex-player, you're not privy to the inside what's going on in that clubhouse anymore. Nor should you be. The only people that know what's truly going on are those 26 guys in that clubhouse. And they've done a great job of keeping it under wraps, whatever's going, if there is anything going on behind closed doors. But there's like you said, there's entirely too much talent on that roster. It'd be one thing if they were, running second to the Atlanta Braves, but they're 20 games out to a pretty good Dodger team. By no means an Atlanta Braves. And that's mind-boggling to me. I have no idea.
Do you just run it back next year? Do you run it back next year without? I mean, I'm not always in favor.
Here's my theory.
All right.
Here's my theory. I was at a game early in the season, looking around, and excuse me, something's going on with me.
It's all right. It's all right, Booney.
You've got a Manny Machado at third base, a Bogarts at short, Kim at second base, Cronenworth at first. That's a Gold Glove infield. You got a second baseman playing first base, Cronenworth. You got Tatis, a shortstop, playing right field. There's your problem. The chemistry down there. Cronenworth wants no part of playing first base. He's a second baseman. When you're a second baseman or a shortstop, there's a pride factor that you don't move to other positions, especially when you're an elite defender. And all of a sudden, Cronenworth's playing first. And you can say what you want about Tatis and the stuff he's gone through, the stuff he went through in 2022, the suspension. He's coming back and kind of with a little bit of his tail tucked between his legs, apologizing to his teammates, all that stuff. Oh, okay, I'll just go play right field, no problem. A young superstar like Tatis, a talented guy like him that plays short, all of a sudden you just go to right field and expect him to say, no problem, I'd love whatever to help the ball club. Whatever to help the ball club.
Booney, I can see this. I can see Tatis having a beef, but Cronenworth, no, you're not Fernando Tatis. And he's good. I'm not saying Cronenworth's a bad player, but dude, you can't be.
There's a pecking order, and
all right.
It's maybe I'm Cronenworth. I'm not being okay. Tatis is going to right field because that's what they want. They think that's what's best for the team. And he's giving way to Bogarts, perennial all-star, star player, there it is, coming from the Boston Red Sox. But Cronenworth and Kim, to his credit, he's become a fan favorite in San Diego and has had a great year. But coming in, Kim's kind of a glorified utility player. Cronenworth's an everyday player, borderline all-star a year ago, and he's sitting there looking like, wait a minute. So I'm going to go play first base because they're saying this utility player, Kim, is better than me at second. I'm just telling you how guys think.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not saying this theory I'm giving you out. Hence, I prefaced it with theory. I have no knowledge of this. I haven't talked to anybody. Cronenworth might be the greatest teammate in the world and has no problem with this and is happy playing first. And it just so happened he's having a bad year. That could be all well and true. Tatis might be more than fine playing right field, and I'm crazy for bringing this up. But I'm just saying, that's my theory. When you're young, when you're a superstar, when you're Fernando Tatis, and you're a shortstop, you don't just move to right field and say, oh, no problem. Shortstops have egos. Second basemen have egos. We have egos in the middle infield. We're at skilled positions. Shortstop, second base, center field. That's the 3 most skilled positions in the world. Or in the world, on a major league field. And to just say, oh, I'm going to go play over here. It's like, wait a minute. No, I play the middle infield. Now, we all get older later in our career. If you got a young hot shot coming up and you move position, that's one thing. That's called for. But in the middle of it, when you're in your heyday and you're at your best defensively, It's a big deal being taken out of the middle infield and put somewhere else for the good of the club. And like I said, Fernando Tatis might be more than happy to play right field, and he plays a pretty darn good right field, by the way, but I expect that out of a shortstop. Cronenworth is a very good second baseman. He's going to do fine at first base. And I'm not saying they have a problem. I'm just saying one theory might be that's a part of the underlying issue that's going on.
Okay, let me ask you a question closer to, and certainly a team you're much more in tune with. That would be the Seattle Mariners, as that race continues for the AL wild card and all of that. But George Kirby, Bohm actually, good find by Bohm. Bohm brought this up when it happened immediately on fair or foul. So George Kirby gives up a home run. I think it was in the 7th inning of a game recently, and after the game, he's emotional. He said, I think I had done enough at that point. Probably shouldn't have been out there. It was like pitch 90. And when I heard that, I'm like, wow. I mean, one, to have the stones to say that. Two, or
the non-thought process to say that.
What's that?
Or not having a thought process before you said that.
Yeah.
There's two. It's either balls or lack of thought process. Either one.
Okay. All right. Well, let's say, Kirby's had a great year, so let's say he has balls. He's got as Bill Raftery would say, onions. But he just made a statement that he wishes he had back. Do you think that's? I don't think it makes him a bad kid. If you're Scott Service, how are you reacting to that in the moment when you hear it?
Well, Scott Service. Now, okay, this is a multi-layered answer. If it's 2000, he'll get run out of that clubhouse for saying that. It's not 2000. We all have to agree with it. We have to move on. So now when I see things happen in the game, I don't just immediately react and say, oh, how could he do that? That's get off my lawn stuff. Why play that game? It's ridiculous. So I saw the clip. A couple buddies had said, did you hear what Kirby? No, I got to see the clip. I saw the clip and I kind of went, wow, never heard that before. Never heard a player. Maybe players think that sometimes. Never said it. There's a couple times where in 1996 or 97 where I said, I wish I wouldn't have been out there in the 8th to strike out for the 3rd time, but I was a little tired. But I would never say that. I might have been thinking it, never would say it. And then I rewound and I thought, wait a minute, it's a different era. These guys are brought up and told, and maybe for whatever reason, the Mariners organization, 90 pitches. So it's not necessarily his fault. I'm not going to let him completely off the hook and say he was right for saying that, but that's the way they're brought up. Hey, starting pitchers, just get us 5 innings. That was never the mindset before. And still, I think the elite, the great pitchers of today, they don't have a 5-inning mindset. They have a complete game mindset, and the game today usually doesn't let you, and there's so much money out there in the bullpen. The game dictates and usually doesn't let you have a complete game in 2023. I understand that. The game has changed. But the mindset shouldn't change. Max Scherzer doesn't go out there thinking, I'll give you 5. Or at least he shouldn't. I know a Verlander doesn't think like that. I know Clayton Kershaw doesn't think I'm going to give you 5 quality innings, and I've done my job.
I could see.
But they've come from a different era, too. They came from 15 years ago where, no, that wasn't the mindset. The mindset was you're a starting number 1 pitcher. You get your butt out there and you give us a complete game.
But you want the ball. Like, that's usually, sometimes it's the opposite way where it's like, hey, dude, I know you want to be out there. I know you're a bulldog, but you're not getting it done, or I feel like, we're asking too much. But this is the opposite. Like, I don't know. It just struck
Scott
me
Service too. You asked the Scott Service question. Now Service is from my generation.
Yeah.
But he also manages in this current generation and has learned to adapt. Scotty Service, he hears his pitcher when he's catching in 1997, and his pitcher says that after the game. Scott Service as a teammate that's gonna whip his neck around. What? But we have to realize we're not there. We're in 2023 where it's okay to pitch 5 innings, get out of the game, because that's the way the bullpen is set up. So guys are different now. He came back the next day, apologized. Okay, that made it a little better. I reached out to some buddies of mine that are much closer to the Mariners on a day-to-day basis. And the guys I called were kind of like, wow, when they saw it, but followed up with, the kid is a good kid. He's got balls. And he's a gamer, Booney. So coming from my buddies in Seattle that say that, this kid is a good kid. He's got balls. He is a gamer. That being said, this was a mistake that he could have avoided very easily, and I think he'll rethink his comments in the future going forward. I'm going to be watching. I think he's pitching tonight.
Yes,
and it's going to be really interesting after all this. I'm not going to call this a big scandal. If he goes out tonight and shoves, everybody's going to forget about it really quick. If George Kirby goes out and pitches 7 scoreless innings tonight and then does it 5 days from now, that comment he made is going to be so far in the rearview mirror. The Mariners right now are worried about getting to the postseason and winning. So they don't care about that as long as you go out and perform. Now, he goes out tonight and struggles. He just added a lot to his plate that you don't need. And that's what I learned as a player. It's like this game is so hard to play day in and day out. Don't give the press anything to make it harder, because the press is going to praise you. And like I said, he goes out tonight and pitches a great game. They got nothing to say. But if he goes out and struggles, and it might not be for the reasons we think, if he struggles for any reason, the headlines are going to go right back to what he said 5 days ago. Yeah. And as players, we don't need that. We've got enough already. Just I know it's boring sometimes to give the boring answer. Give the boring answer and get out. If you've got a problem with being out there after 90 pitches and you were a little gassed, well, that's between you and Scott Service and the pitching coach. That's not for the world and for your teammates to see publicly being addressed, if that makes sense. So
it does.
It's going to all be on how he does tonight. It's going to be the first test. I'm going to be watching, but I couldn't say enough good things about this guy watching him for the last 2 years.
I like him. I like him a lot. I've told you,
I think this kid is a future Cy Young candidate.
Yeah.
I think he's that good. And to have this hiccup this early and chalk it up to lack of experience. It's not like we see George Kirby on a weekly basis doing sound bites on Twitter. He's really a guy. This is the first time I ever saw him with his hat off. So he's not out there.
He's
not one of those guys. So the bottom line is, he's young. Chalk it up to inexperience. We all make mistakes. Lord knows I've made a lot of mistakes, things I've said publicly. But this is something that could have been avoided, and it's all going to be about, all right, it's over with. You apologize for it. Get back on the horse and go pitch good tonight.
Okay.
Because that'll relieve a lot of it.
All right, let me close with this as we're obviously winding down the season and we got these great races. You were talking about Seattle, and my God, I think they're a game and a half or game out in the West, and then of course the wild card race as well. You got the National League wild card race going on, but I want to ask you about. Let me go to the awards. You mentioned Cy Young, so okay. I think in the American League these are pretty much sewn up. I think Garrett Cole's your AL Cy Young. I think the AL MVP, I know he's been hurt and whatever, but it's got to be Shohei. We know that.
Yeah.
Now, the National League.
Interesting.
Oh, I mean, Booney, I go back and forth on this, and it's not like I'm not necessarily a bigger fan of one or over the other, but I can make a strong case for both. This one would be, I'd be kept up at night trying to figure out, like, if I'm a voter, who do I give it to?
Well, I
Mookie
think
Betts or Ronald Acuna.
I think it's back and forth right now, and on any given week, it could flip into the other guy's favor. It's that close. Okay, I looked. I've got Acuna. Let's see, Acuna. He's hitting 333. He's on base. They're essentially both on base the same. 411 to 415. Acuna's got 37 homers. Betts got 39. Acuna's got 97 ribbies. Betts has got 101. Both, by the way, right fielders. Both, by the way, in the leadoff hole, right at 100 RBIs. That's phenomenal in itself. Acuna's leading the league in runs at $132. Betts had a $120. Acuna's leading the league in hits. He's going to get 200 hits this year. Both right fielders, both great leadoff hitters. Betts has played a little bit of second base and a little bit of shortstop to add to his resume this year. Bonus for Betts. But the separator for me, with everything being equal, and they're pretty equal.
SB.
Stolen bases. That's a separator, man, for me.
I mean,
he's got 65 bags. Now, it's not in the day and age of Ricky Henderson where there weren't 2 disengagements, so it's a little easier to steal bases right now. I get that. But other than the kid from Oakland, nobody's approaching 70 stolen bases. I mean, he's about to potentially be a 40-70 guy. And just my experience in the years where I was having really good offensive years, you're doing so well, you're on base so much that you're too tired to steal bases. I remember one year I stole 16, and I was like, I had a newfound respect because I never realized stealing bases wasn't my thing. So I'd look at guys 20-20, 30-30. I'd say, yeah, I'm impressed with the 20 homers. I'm impressed with the 30 homers, but I'm not impressed with the stolen bases. What's the big deal? In some of my years in the early 2000s, when I was having really good offensive years, I had a newfound respect for stealing bases because it does. Mookie Acuna's on base at 415. He's got 196 hits. You know how many times he's been on base this year? A lot.
Booney, and he's doing it late.
Steal 65 bags?
Yeah, he's doing it late in the season. And like last night, I mean, I've been looking at the box score the last 3 nights. Stolen base, Ronald Acuna, 63.
It's
Ronald Acuna, 64.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
That, to me, 2 unbelievable players. Think about it. If these guys weren't having this, 2 of the greatest leadoff. And now, to be fair to Ricky Henderson, back in Ricky's day, the leadoff hitter wasn't your 3-hole hitter. These guys are 3-hole hitters, hitting leadoff because that's how the game is now.
Yeah.
So it's really not a fair comparison. But that being said, 2 of the greatest leadoff seasons ever are going on right now with Betts and Acuna. And the funny thing about it is their teammates, Olsen in Atlanta and Freddie Freeman, who got traded for each other, both first basemen for their respective ball clubs, are having huge MVP type years. And because of these 2 guys, aren't even going to be considered. Olsen's he's closing in 50? On 130 ribbies. He's got 50 plus homers, and he's not even in the running for MVP. That's how great of a year Acuna and Betts are having.
One last thing on the MVP, because I think you were on. Oh man, am I right? No, you weren't on that. The year that Chipper won the MVP.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah. I watched it.
When he had that last series or the last few series against the Mets.
Against the Mets, unbelievable.
Like maybe that happens in this case because it is so equal. It's
equal. Like I said, it goes week to week. I mean, Betts might have a huge week and he'll have the advantage next week, or Acuna and flip flop it. So right now, I'm not going to say I'm voting yet. When do we have to vote? Last day of the season? If I have to vote right now with the numbers falling where they numbers, both teams in first place. Acuna's on the best team in baseball, but Dodgers are 13 up in their division. Both great teams. If I had to lay my vote down today, I'm going for Acuna, but I don't have to vote today. So 2 weeks from now, we'll revisit this, and I might have a different answer for you. But today, if it's over, Acuna's going on my list.
Okay. So National League Cy Young, we've got what do we have? We've got Justin
Snell.
Yeah, Justin Steele and Blake Snell are ERAs like around 2.30. Zach Gallen has an ERA of like 3.30, but he's also pitched about 30 more innings. He's been that horse for Arizona. That's a tough call. I mean, because I think innings, I'm not saying in this case it should, or maybe it should, but I do think innings pitched for starters should be a pretty decent factor when you're determining a Cy Young winner.
I think it's a tie-breaking factor. That makes sense.
All
things are equal. Let's go to the innings. But all things aren't equal. I mean, Snell and Steele are almost not a full point, almost a full point less on the ERA. So for me, Gallen's out of the conversation right now. And then you go to Snell and Steele. In a game, in a day and an age where wins and losses aren't held in high regard. Steele's got 16 wins. He's 16-3. It's pretty good. Snell's 13-9. But once again, that's kind of a factor you go to when everything else is equal. ERAs are right there together. Cubs are on a better ball club. Do you factor that in? It used to be you had to be on a winning team to win the Cy Young. You had to be on a winning team to win the MVP. All of a sudden, that went by the wayside. When Mike Trout started winning MVPs, I go, wait a minute. I was always told in my generation, you got to be on a winning team. That's part of the MVP thing. Now, if we're just going MVP, the best player, well, then you give it to. It doesn't matter what his team.
I'll be honest with you, Booney. I'm a little surprised that you were that quick to dismiss Zach Gallen.
Yeah, he's almost a full point higher ERA than the other guys. And yeah, he's got more innings. But for me, innings are a tiebreaker, just like wins and losses. Wins and losses in 1997, huge factor because that was a big part of it. And that guys went out there to win games, which means you had to go 5.5 innings, which means guys went 7 and 8 innings into the game, and the 20 game winners emerged. That was an important factor when pitching to Cy Young. Not so much anymore because the criteria isn't there. It's to give us innings, get the ball to our bullpen, who we paid a lot of money and invested a lot of money into the bullpen. It's a different game today. So to me, the ERA is the huge thing. All right, let's go to strikeouts. Snell's pitched 161 innings. He's punched out 209. Punched out. Gallen's got 187 innings, hasn't punched out as many as Snell. Is the punch out that important? To me, no, but it's not necessarily important, but it is important when you punch guys out.
When it's that high, though, I mean, like that's a pretty good ratio right there for Blake Snell.
It's a huge ratio. Yeah. Steele's at 159 to 159. Gallen's 187 to 195, and Snell is 161 to 209. So, I mean, you look at it, Gallen is essentially pitched 3 more games than Snell and Steele, if you want to go strictly innings. That's basically what it boils down to. So for me, right now, it's Snell or Steele. Their ERA is the same. Steele's 16-3.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that enough to put Steele over the edge right now? Okay, today we're going to do the same thing with the MVP. Today, I'm voting for Steele.
That would be mine. Yeah.
But the official vote doesn't come to the end of the year. So 2 weeks, we'll check back in. All right, who are you going with, MVP, and who are you going with Cy Young? Right today, Chico, today.
My MVP would be Ronald Acuna, but
so we're the same there.
Yeah, we're the same there.
Today, I need you to write it down right now and send it in. Who are you writing on the piece of paper?
Zach Gallen.
You don't have to really.
Zach Gallen would be my. I mean,
no. I didn't ask you that yet. So you're going with Acuna. You're writing Acuna down.
Yeah.
Today. Okay. Now you're going with Gallen.
Yes.
Okay.
You made a great case for Justin Steele, and I like Justin Steele. I just think Gallen has been more of that. I don't know, that horse.
Gallen's 15-7.
Yeah,
that's no slouch. And when we don't put wins at a premium, that's impressive. I think there's great cases for all three. The bottom line is there's no clear-cut winner at this point.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a tough vote for everybody, and we'll see who, we'll see who is a real difference maker if there is a moment for any of these guys in the final 2 weeks. It might come down to the final game of the season, and all these guys are on the bump to make their team get into that wild card. That might go into the voters' minds too. Did they pitch when everything was on the line? Who knows? It'll be an interesting finish.
He's Bret Boone, former All-Star second baseman, host of the Bret Boone podcast, also a big fan of shawls that you retrieve from your
shawls, yes, from the Davenport after you go to the ice box to get a drink.
Okay,
there you go.
The Davenport, that's the one I forgot. The shawl from the Davenport after you go to the ice box to get a beverage. Okay.
Oh,
gotcha.
You get a soda.
Or soda. Yeah, soda. Absolutely. Booney, great job as always. And obviously
made me work, Chico, you made me work today, by the way.
I know. Yeah, I did. I like to mix it up. I think on days.
And I can't believe you disagreed with me. You should never disagree with me. I'm always right.
That's true. And I think you're right. I think Steele's going to get the Cy Young. I was hoping to get you riled up. I was hoping to
No, this is fun stuff. I like I like this kid Kirby so much.
Yeah.
And it kind of,
I like him too. I have.
you know,
him
I
a
felt
couple-
part of me thought, what are you thinking? I wanted to be the dad in the thing. Like, what do you get that mic away from him? And part of me was like, what'd you just say? Come on. You can't say that. You're one of the horses for this Mariner team.
Yeah.
Hey, big game. I want him on the mound.
If they
I don't
get in,
want all
I'm
the-
telling you, if they
I
get
don't want
in,
all this distraction.
if the Mariners get in, I really, boy.
How about that race, Chico?
Oh, it's incredible.
It's unbelievable. You talk about the National League wild card race. That's going to be great. I mean, I'm looking at that. I mean, they're so bunched together. But the American League comes down to 4 teams, 4 good teams. And I wouldn't rule out any one of these teams winning the World Series this year. I mean, obviously, we always talk about Atlanta. Yeah, they're the favorite on paper, without a doubt. Dodgers were a year ago, too. But I look at 4 teams that aren't going to get in, and 4 teams that, for me, could win the World Series, and that's Houston Astros, Texas Rangers, Seattle Mariners, and the Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto can pitch.
Yeah.
We know they can hit. They can pitch.
Yep.
We know what Houston is. Now, Scherzer goes down last night for Texas. Pitched 5 innings, gives up no runs, comes out with tricep something.
Soreness.
Never heard of it before, but he came out of the game.
Yeah.
For Texas to be real viable, it's got to be Scherzer, Evalde down the stretch.
And they just started to win games again. I mean, they
started to win
after that
games.
long losing.
Best offense in baseball.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you got 4 teams over there. All 4 can't go to the postseason. One of those teams that I named, Toronto, Seattle, Houston, Texas, one of the teams is going home.
Yep.
And I think all 4 could win. I've never said that before. Like some of these wild cards that they're fighting for in the National League, they're interesting and fun stories and fun to watch.
Cincinnati's
But
not going to win it all.
But I could throw you could throw them into your hand and go, well, this team ain't going to win the World Series.
Right.
Those 4 I named could win, and one of them ain't going. That's what's interesting to me.
I think you're right. It is the Chico Bormann Show, and we always love talking to Bret Boone. Former All-Star second baseman, host of the Bret Boone podcast, each and every Wednesday. What's the matter, Booney? What's
Well, I didn't get my pro player. I like going out.
Oh yeah, I do. I pick and choose.
Pro player is it getting a little old for you? I
don't think it's honestly. I said last week. I don't think it will ever get old. That is a Dan Levy special.
Right.
Him referring to you as former pro player.
Pro player.
Bret Boone.
It's great. You cannot teach it.
I love that if he was like introducing you on the big stage, like he's trying to get the fans fired up, and he's like
at the ESPYs,
a former pro player.
And I'd say pro player. That's a stadium, isn't it?
Yes.
Somewhere.
Miami, I think.
Yeah, pro player stadium.
Booney,
Great.
We love you. Have a good week. Go hit some golf balls.
Oh.
With your
I'm
shawl.
glad you didn't ask me about that. I stink. Goodbye.
All right. See you. All right. That is Bret Boone. Always fun. We'll take a quick break. We come back. First of all, some people are losing their minds when it comes to this whole Jet situation, the quarterback situation. Look, it's not good. Yeah, you didn't plan for it. I get that. Some of the options people are throwing out there. Are you serious? We'll talk about that when we come back. We'll also play Fair or Foul with Mr. Bombastic, who was recently followed on Twitter by the Onion Boy. So we'll do all that when we come back. Final hour of the show, Chico Bormann Show. More to come right here on the Big Play Sports Network. Alrighty, welcome back. Chico Bormann Show here on this Wednesday afternoon. Good to have you along. Browns, Steelers coming up on Monday Night Football. Cannot wait. We'd be saying that anyway, regardless of when it was on the schedule, regardless of what happened the previous week. But let's just face it. Browns can be 2-0, and coming off a drubbing of Cincinnati at home and the possibility of knocking off the Steelers. We knew going into this season you're going to have 3 of your first 4 against division rivals. And, man, to get out of there with another W against Pittsburgh this week would be – Boom, are you all right? You keep giving me little – it's like googly eyes. What's going on here?
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking about some of the YouTube comments we got.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Which
we'll share those here in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be I think a very competitive game. I know the Steelers got rocked by San Francisco. I think the Browns defense is gonna do some rocking of their own. I do think Pittsburgh's defense is gonna play a lot better against the Browns than they played against San Francisco. But we'll be talking more about that as we go along. One thing I wanted to get to before we go to fair or foul. So the big news, and I don't even care if you're a Jets fan or not, a Rodgers fan or not. Like, yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks. Like, he's one of the best in the game. I don't always agree with everything he does and what he says and stuff like that. But in terms of quarterback play, I've said this before. I'll say it again. When he was at his peak with Green Bay, he was as good as I've ever seen throwing a football. And I put him like Dan Marino, I put in that discussion as far as I'm not talking about winning games. I'm not talking about how many Super Bowl rings. I'm just talking about physically watching him play the position, throwing the football. Aaron Rodgers, unbelievable. So he comes in. He's a definite upgrade over Zach Wilson and whatever White, I think, was in there last year. And so now it's Aaron Rodgers, the build-up, and he only goes 4 snaps, and now he's done for the year. So the Jets are reeling. And quite honestly, while, yes, Robert Saleh has to meet the media and, answer questions, he doesn't really know. I mean, I have no problem with him saying we're behind Zach Wilson right now. I think right now that is how they feel. Does the entire team believe in Zach Wilson right now? I doubt it. Has he made good on some things that, last year, when he was very immature, and you know what I'm referring to, the comments about nothing you would do differently. Garrett Wilson wasn't happy. None of his teammates were, and they shouldn't have been. Has he grown from that? Hopefully. But here's the question ultimately you have to ask yourself. Do they really have confidence that Zach Wilson, because now you have a Jets team with a healthy Breece Hall and a great defense that absolutely, positively can be in the playoff discussion, certainly was in the discussion with Aaron Rodgers at QB. Is there somebody out there, maybe it is Zach Wilson, is there somebody out there, though, that can do just enough? And the reason I say just enough is if there was a guy out there that would just, blow it out of the water, then he'd be brought in. Guys like that aren't just sitting on their couches right now. So, the idea that guy's out there. Now I think you go to, can Zach Wilson make some plays for us, but can he not lose us the game? Can he not have a 5-interception game? Because now, seemingly, you're going to be in a lot of close ball games. You're going to be in a lot of games where, that one turnover, that one interception, that one bad read can be the difference in the ball game. Do they trust Zach Wilson in that situation? For right now, Robert Saleh has to say what he's saying, and that is yes. It always amazes me, though. Like, I don't know what's more, what is crazier, Bohm? Antonio Brown reaching out to the Steelers saying, I hear you guys might need a wide receiver, or Colin Kaepernick reaching out to the Jets saying, I hear you might need some QB help.
Chico, I mean, Kaepernick, that's not the only one either. Like Phillip Rivers.
No, we're going to get to these. Okay. Kaepernick.
Yeah,
Kaepernick hasn't played in this has no, and I want to be clear about this, okay? I know there are people, I know about the political stance, and some of what he said and what he stood for, I was totally for. I got it. This has nothing to do with that. The guy hasn't played in 7 years. 7 freaking years.
Didn't even realize it's been that long.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we're talking about Deshaun Watson, who didn't play for 700 days, and how long it took him, and how, and granted, and he's a much better player. I mean, I think we all can. Colin Kaepernick had the 1 year he was outstanding, but he's not the answer. You mentioned Phillip Rivers. I'm glad you brought up Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is, no, that ain't going to happen. I think right now, if you want to be serious about certain guys, and I say these names and I don't know what their situation is. I don't know if they're on a beach in Honolulu somewhere. I don't know if they're coaching a high school team, a Division III college team. I have no idea. But Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco would be a guy, and I believe he has, in the last 24 hours, expressed interest, or at least said, hey, have your people call my people. He's 38 years old. But I think what you're looking for, and this is where I say I don't know if you can believe in Zach Wilson, is that you need somebody that is not going to lose you games. Now, yes, I know. Can they make plays? And you better have that as well. But at this point, you have such a great defense. You have a good running game. If you're running the ball effectively, Joe Flacco is a guy that I think off play action would be able to find a guy like Garrett Wilson, who's phenomenal. And you're not going to get Aaron Rodgers, but could it be enough? That's all they're trying. Could he be enough, or anybody be enough to get them to the postseason? I don't know. I mean, the realistic answer is, my honest answer is, I don't know for sure, but I do know this for sure. If you're going to call up, or you're going to say Colin Kaepernick, you might as well just call Joe Montana. I mean, call Joe Namath, for God's sake. You are so good looking. I just want to kiss you. Like, Colin Kaepernick hasn't played in 7 years, people. He's not coming in. And by the way, some of these guys, if they're coming in, they don't want to be a backup. Remember, that was a lot of the hubbub when he was rumored to be going to Baltimore a while back. Maybe he'll play for Baltimore. They wanted him. They reached out to him as a backup. And he's like, oh, no. We want to be a starter. We want to be paid like a starter. And they're like, that's not going to happen. All right, end of discussion. When I saw Kaepernick's name come up, and then even Phillip Rivers, I was just stunned. I mean, let's just face it, the Jets are screwed. The Jets got to hope that Zach Wilson has learned a lot, has grown up a lot, but also is ready for that moment, because this is pressure beyond pressure. Like, he thought pressure last year was bad. Imagine this year when it's like, well, you're the guy. It's either you or we don't make it to the postseason. You've got to be better. You're no longer a rookie. You've got to fill those shoes. You got to go get them. Can he do it? I don't believe he can, but I think the Jets have to believe that he can.
And Chico Ronald chimed in jokingly and said, bring back Flacco. Yeah, it's honestly, he might be the best option of the bunch there.
Flacco is a real option. I mean, I'm being serious.
Colt McCoy
is a real option. I mean, at least he was in camp. He got sent home by the Cardinals. But, I mean, these guys recently have been.
I'll save it for fair or foul. I have another name for you.
Okay. I think I know who you're going to say. But
yeah.
Yeah,
Carson Wentz?
No, I would not want Carson Wentz, and I'll tell you why. It has to be somebody, and this is why I say with like Joe Flacco. And by the way, I'm not saying Flacco is all world. I'm just saying Flacco, you got to have a guy that you know is not going to put you in bad situations. It doesn't mean he's gonna light it up, but he's not going to throw stupid interceptions. So Carson Wentz, gone. Carson Wentz would get picked. He would fumble the football. No, you can't. Flacco, I think. What about the Red Rifle? What about old Andy Dalton? I don't know.
Matt Ryan's also an option.
Matt Ryan's in the booth right now, right?
I believe so.
I think
You're
he's
gonna
in
bring him out of
CBS,
retirement?
CBS booth.
Tom Brady?
I think the Jets are screwed. Yeah, and of course Brady's name was going to come up. I mean,
I don't think that there's like a conflict of interest there because he has partial ownership of Vegas. He was hanging out in their locker room I saw during the preseason, giving him a pep talk.
All right, let's just break it down this way. Forget about like what Tom Brady could do, would do, how he would do. From a financial standpoint, can the Jets afford? I mean, Tom Brady's not coming back for anything less than probably $30 million. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm retired. You forced me out of retirement, and no guarantee. Yeah, he's gonna play great, but okay, this is the going rate, and for one season, if I get you, $30 million. I don't think the Jets can do that. I don't think they have the room to do that. It's unfortunate. It is. The Jets made this big move. As much as Rodgers might grind on people's nerves at times, mine included. Yeah, but it was a very interesting storyline, so much so that it dominated the offseason ad nauseum, but no longer. And now you got to figure out, what are the Jets all about?
By the way, side note, did you see the bar in Wisconsin that was offering like full bar tabs covered if the Jets lose? Did you see that story?
Yeah, and then people started drinking like crazy.
Yeah, and when Rodgers got hurt, they were all cheering, which is kind of not cool, but they're cheering because they're getting free drinks, they think, right? And then the Jets come back to win it, and they all have to pay these bar tabs. And it was like they were live on the scene as all the fans are realizing that they're going to have to pay these bar tabs that they racked up.
And by the way, these bar tabs, like they were under the assumption that, well, this is, we've got this one. So they were drinking like the plane was going down. And then they realized, oh, shoot, we've got to pay for it. Yeah, those were some hefty bar tabs that they had to pay.
And good for the bar for winning big that time. Now, I heard they're planning to continue this they said 12 more weeks, whenever there's not like an overlap with Packers games because it's a Wisconsin bar. But I don't think that's a smart play going forward if the Jets are riding with Zach Wilson. So in the long run, that bar might want to consider, not doing that contest for until now. Rodgers has talked about how he wants to come back next year. Maybe save it for next year.
I think, and that's a whole nother discussion. Could he?
Yeah,
40 years old and you're coming back from Achilles. I don't think it's a matter of does he want to? Just would he want to play another season? Sure. I don't think he wants to go out like this. But, the reality is he going to be – he's in pretty good shape, but he is 40 years old, and it is an Achilles. And I don't know. He might be done.
Yeah, did you see that quote from Garrett Wilson talking about how, my heart hurts for him? And he said when he saw Rodgers right after the injury, Aaron told him, "I'm sorry, kid." It's just heartbreaking. And I would love to see him get another chance at redemption, Chico.
Well, here's the thing. I think Garrett Wilson, now I'm going back to the Hard Knocks series, right? Because in the Hard Knocks series, do you remember how they were kind of like kids? They were like little kids, and I'm not even referring to the players. The defensive coordinator. Remember that shot? I think it was episode 1. He's like, "We've got Aaron Rodgers. We can win. We've got Aaron Rodgers. This is a coach, your defensive coordinator." So, it was all about – now, granted, Aaron coming into a situation where, you have pieces in place. But, yeah, that's what it was all about. And 4 snaps, and I said it yesterday, I don't know how much time, the exact time that elapsed, but I would love to know, to hear that stadium – when he marches out there with the American flag from that point to that 4th snap, because it was just the fluctuation had to be just unbelievable. So, all right, Bohm, you ready for a little fair or foul? We're not going to.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Just crank it up right now. Let's go with fair or foul.
Let's do it. All right, Chico.
Yes.
Let's get it started. So I want to kick things off right there with Aaron Rodgers. You stole a little bit of my thunder because I was going to ask you about a lot of that stuff.
You are dying to say it. Just say it. I know you want to get it out there.
Rodgers. Rodgers.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
You're a bum, Rodgers.
Yeah, I know. I knew you were waiting to say that.
Actually, I wasn't, but I'm glad that you gave me the opportunity. Thank you, Chico.
See, I
Oh.
know. Oh!
How could you let Rodgers get hit like that?
Christopher.
All I know is if you're Joe Douglas and the New York Jets organization, that offensive line, correcting it has to be your number one priority, because I think, it's obviously you still have a lot of games to play this season, but looking forward to next year, it sounds like they might have to at least try to plan for the return of Rodgers to the Jets.
So you're saying fair foul, what? Offensive line?
Oh, no, I was just continuing the conversation before I got into my first question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and that was the one thing. And we saw that. Remember when everything was perfect? And I'm not saying it was a huge development, but remember the red zone drills they were having the one day, and they were saying he was clearly frustrated. The offensive line was just, they were getting used and abused, and and has been, still is, the only Achilles heel, pardon the expression. That's the only Achilles heel on the Jets, along with the Achilles heel that popped, is the offensive line. You didn't even appreciate that, Boom. You didn't even hear what I said, did you?
Talking about his how he was frustrated with the offensive line during the red
But
zone
you didn't hear the play on words that I had.
No, I didn't
That
catch
the
it.
Jets' offensive line was really their only Achilles heel, other than the Achilles heel that Aaron Rodgers.
That was well done. That was worth repeating. Thank you, Chico.
You never listen to me anymore, Boom.
I'm multitasking, Chico. I'm trying to.
You never talk.
I'm trying to stay ready.
You're always working late. You always got things to do around the house.
Always.
Go ahead.
I got a full plate, jam-packed.
Yeah, you do.
All right. Well, another name, former quarterback who has tossed his name in the ring, current ESPN analyst Robert Griffin III.
I saw that too. Yeah.
Yeah, he listed a bunch of free agent quarterbacks, right? Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, myself, just talking about how and inserting his name into I guess it's now a quarterback controversy in New York. Fair or foul, Chico, you think Robert Griffin III is an above-average candidate here to bring onto that squad?
No, because I think he's intriguing. I'll say that, but the injury history, after those injuries, the turnovers went way up. Yeah, I'd be concerned about that. When we say quarterback controversy, though, Bohm, I think, okay, now you're gonna, because Zach Wilson was the backup, right? Zach Wilson was the backup to Aaron Rodgers. Basically, what you're deciding is, okay, are we? Because you're saying to Zach Wilson and everybody else, and these are just words, but we're saying Zach Wilson's our guy. The backup that you're bringing in, is he really the backup to Zach Wilson, or is this the guy that you think or you want to eventually be the starter once he gets the offense? We don't know any of that. I can't believe. I can't believe that Zach Wilson just suddenly becomes a new quarterback. He might be a little bit improved, but he's going to throw interceptions. He's going to make bad reads. He did so on Sunday. And now the pressure is, he thought it was bad last year. Oh, man. Now it's healthy Breece Hall. We brought in Aaron Rodgers for this. Well, it's up to you now.
Yeah,
I think he's going to fall flat in his face. I hope he doesn't, but
that Super Bowl window in New York is basically collapsing on his shoulders. It is a lot of pressure for Mr. Wilson. Now, I do wonder, Chico. Obviously, this offseason, he's had the tutelage of Aaron Rodgers and the mentorship, and it seems like Rodgers has taken him under his wing. I certainly expect there to be a lot of maturity and some growth, because he is still a very young player, and he has flashed. He's thrown a couple of incredible deep balls just between week one and the preseason. And so he has these moments where you can see the NFL talent, but he's going to have to put it all together in a hurry.
Here's the thing. You know what I think we tend to dismiss with this? And, we talk about, well, he learned a lot from Aaron Rodgers. And I think when a quarterback, an understudy. You know, what did you learn? Well, I learned how to prepare. I learned, certain things that nuances to make my job easier. Maybe a certain technique, but ultimately, like, Can you improve how you process information or how quickly you process information? And this isn't rhetorical. I'm really asking this question. Can you improve how you process information just by sitting a year out and watching a Hall of Famer do it? I don't know. I don't know if that's one of those things that just kind of translates or through osmosis or whatever. You either see things and process things a certain way or you don't. And I just don't know if that's going to change.
I do think that processing can sharpen with reps. And he's going to be getting a lot more reps now.
Yeah.
So we'll see. He's kind of getting thrown to the wolves a little bit. But
so funny. Yesterday, for the first time in a long time, I honestly did hear the song Stacy's Mom, and I had to laugh because I thought of Zach Wilson.
Fountains of Wayne. I remember that song. That song was huge.
You nailed it. Fountains of
Yeah.
Wayne. Stacy's mom has got it going on.
You remember the music video? You ever see the music video?
Is she outside, like, watering plants and stuff, or no?
Yeah.
But yeah, like in little Daisy Dukes.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't really notice.
Of course not. Not yeah.
Nah.
We digress and move on now because we're talking about from one player going down to another coming back. You remember Tariq Cohen, former
Yes.
Bears running back.
Yeah, good receiver out of the backfield. Very 5'6", very slight guy, very small guy.
He's been out of the league for the last 3 years, Chico. He's making a return. He was signed by the Carolina Panthers, which obviously maybe not the greatest situation, but there are questions at that running back position. You mentioned earlier in the show how, like, we just talked about Deshaun coming back after 2 years, or like for another player to come back after 7 years off, that's still working out. Fair or foul, Chico, you think that Tariq Cohen could carve out a nice little strong finish to his career as a NFL running back?
Well, okay, this is let's talk about what he does well. Even when he was back in the league, he was never a guy. I mean, he's literally, I think he's like 5'6", 170, maybe 180 pounds. He's not going to run between the tackles. He's going to be your guy out of the backfield catching passes. That's not something where I think the speed of the game, or you say, wow, you're just, I don't want to say, I don't want to sound like it's just easy as pie, but you're bouncing out into the flat and you're a safety valve underneath. You take the pass, you try to make a few guys move. I assume the guy's in pretty good shape if he's talking about a comeback. Now, none of those guys are in football shape, but there's a big difference between being in shape and being somebody that just laid on the couch all 2 years and ate Funyuns and smoked butt. You know what I mean? A little bit different. I'll say that, yes. I mean, he didn't really have a great career to begin with, but I think he latches on there. Did anybody get hurt for Carolina? Like, I'm trying to figure out why. Miles Sanders is there, right?
Yeah, I just know they didn't have a good game.
Chubba
Hubbard.
Oh, that just sounds weird. Like, that would be the... Yeah, I don't see any reason why, if he's still in decent shape, he could be a guy third down back out of the backfield, catching passes.
Well, sticking with the NFL, Chico, I wanted to bring up how... So the NFLPA has a new executive director by the name of Lloyd Howell who released a statement.
Not to be confused with Lloyd Braun from Seinfeld.
Correct, yes. Let's not make such confusions.
Why can't you be more like Lloyd Braun?
So he released a statement advocating for all NFL stadiums to switch from turf to natural grass, saying that moving all stadium fields to high-quality natural grass surfaces is the easiest decision the NFL can make. Fair or foul? Because obviously, Chico, a lot of teams play in domes. Do you think this is attainable for the NFL to achieve within the next couple of years?
No. I just think there are too many loose ends with this, and I wasn't trying to be funny there, but really, I mentioned this yesterday. Like the Meadowlands or whatever now, the MetLife, whatever their stadium is, Thursday they had a concert. Friday they had a concert. Sunday the Giants played. Monday the Jets played. The reality of the situation is, like everybody says, see, it's easy to say bring in natural grass, and that's great, but are you going to be able to care for it like it needs to be cared for? It's like the little kid that says, "Oh, I want a dog," and then you get the dog, and they don't want to take it for walks. They don't want to clean up their crap. They don't want anything to do with them after about a year. Like, there's a lot of, especially if you're going to have other events. I don't think there is an easy answer to this. I think people want to make it sound like there's an easy answer, but I don't think there's an easy answer. I don't know what my boy Coleman was doing there, but yeah, I'm going to go foul on that. I don't know how this is going to play out.
Yeah, certainly something fascinating to watch moving forward. Last one for the NFL I got for you, Chico.
Yeah.
Is it fair or foul to call the Browns Super Bowl contenders?
It's fair. It's fair. I think it was fair even before the season from a talent standpoint. When you look around the league right now and you say, like, put it this way. If they beat the Steelers, and it's even if it's not convincing, but let's say it's a convincing win, and I don't want to hear jinx crap or anything like that. But if they beat the Steelers and it's pretty, it's a good win, they're going to start getting talk about winning the Super Bowl. And I don't know why, with a defense that great, a quarterback that is hopefully going to continue to get better and better, who's not, when I say 100%, I'm not talking health-wise, I'm just talking like where he needs to be timing-wise and all of that. And then you have the best running back in the game. I don't know why they wouldn't be. And I'm not saying they have to be a favorite, but if you're telling me, like, in the conversation, yes, absolutely, positively in that conversation.
And Chico, as far as week 2 goes, I feel better about this quarterback matchup that we're going to be facing, even though the Browns have had Cincy's number as of late. But on the defensive side of the ball for the Steelers, I think this is going to be a tougher challenge for Deshaun Watson, because I'll take that Steelers secondary over Cincy's any day of the week. Obviously, some of those guys are getting towards the end of their careers, maybe on a downward trajectory, but still, I think there's a lot left in the tank for the guys like Minka Fitzpatrick and Patrick Peterson. So I noticed that a lot of receivers were getting open in week 1. I don't think that Deshaun is going to have that many opportunities to hit wide open guys. So it's a question I have, like, as far as what we can see from Deshaun here in week 2.
I think the Steelers are going to put some I think the Browns are going to put pressure on Kenny Pickett. I know they are. I think the Steelers are going to have something cooked up for Deshaun, and he's athletic but I think they're going to take advantage of a green right tackle. Could be a very good one, and has done everything right so far. And then Jed Wills on the other side, like, let's not forget, like, that's no layup either. So I think the Steelers, that's the area I think they're looking to exploit, if I had to take a guess.
All right, Chico. Well, we shift gears to college ball now, where Ryan Day has officially named Kyle McCord as the starting quarterback for the Ohio State Buckeyes. He did say that Devin Brown will still see the field. He'll still get some time. Fair or foul, this competition was over 2 weeks ago, Chico.
Foul. I told you this before. I don't think Ryan Day is a guy that wears his heart on his sleeve. And yes, he's not going to be stupid with comments and give somebody something that they don't need, another team or anything like that, an advantage. But I don't think he really. I still don't think just because he's named Kyle McCord. I think this is a better question for like the average fan. Just because Ryan Day is named Kyle McCord the starting quarterback, does that give you more confidence in Kyle McCord? It doesn't mean, it's the same. I'm not saying I don't believe in him, but I'm just saying, like, all this is like Ryan Day's making it official because, hey, and I think I said to you, like, after Western Kentucky, who they play this week, they probably do want to name one. They just named it maybe a week earlier than I thought. I thought by Notre Dame, he would want to have a starting quarterback that he could name. So, I mean, yeah, I don't. Are you thinking they're better, or are you thinking, I don't know?
I think you had to put the word out officially at some point, and it's
Yes.
good to do it before Notre Dame, like with a week prior to Notre Dame, because honestly, it's just like an added tension that you really don't need in that locker room. To have it still open-ended and uncertain like that. So I think it's good that he did that. Now, does it impact like my confidence for Kyle McCord? No, it doesn't really change anything in that regard, because I still feel the same way about him. I still have things that I want to see from him, but I've seen some encouraging things as well, where it's like, okay, he can clearly make some of the necessary tough throws in college ball. Can he do it consistently? And I think that we saw it with C.J. Stroud, and I'm not comparing the two.
Yeah.
But we saw that slow start, and we saw him slowly grow into that role as starting quarterback for The Ohio State University. And I think there's no reason to expect that Kyle McCord won't continue to grow and improve.
Yeah, one thing that C.J. Stroud had that I haven't seen from Kyle McCord is like the anticipation. Like, anticipation for a quarterback is very big. Obviously, the accuracy is very big. If you don't have the accuracy, the anticipation does you no good. I haven't seen it yet from McCord. Now, again, is it early? Yes, but I think there's certain things that he's going to get better at. But here's the other way that we have to look at it. I mean, fair or unfair, this is where he's at and they're at as a team. They have championship expectations. Is it fair? Do you feel confident saying Ohio State can win a national championship with Kyle McCord? I don't, at least not right now.
Not yet.
Now, I don't have to answer that necessarily right now. But do I think that, hopefully he gets there. But if I'm talking right now, can they win a national championship with him at quarterback? I would say no. But he's got plenty of time to prove me and many other people wrong.
All right, Chico. Well, last one here. I just want to play a quick clip from Dabo Sweeney. I meant to get to this earlier.
Dabo.
Yeah.
Dabo.
Just take a listen to this. I want to get your thoughts on it, Chico.
Oh, man, it was bad. Unacceptable. When your offense is getting compared to a Brian Ferentz offense, you know you have problems and a lot of work to do. Oh, man.
That's not Dabo.
I'm watching a video of him saying that.
It doesn't sound like him.
You think it's like an Allen Iverson generated
Oh, my
video?
God. Bohm is deciding on air while he's playing it. Is this a fake or... Play that again. That does not sound like Dabo
A lot
Sweeney.
of work to do. Oh, man, it was bad. Unacceptable. When your offense is getting compared to a Brian Ferentz offense, you know you have problems and a lot of work to do. Oh, man, it was.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. It's not him. And he wouldn't be dumb enough. No, I love the Ferentz. How bad has it been? And I did not realize this. Remember when we had the air show here and we had like Mr. Top Gun we got to interview. Gosh, I can't think of his name right now.
Raz.
Raz. Yeah, Raz. That was his call sign. But yeah, Raz is with us. He's from Iowa, big Iowa Hawkeyes fan. And he made reference to the 25-point thing. He's like, yeah, well, hopefully they get to 25. And I didn't get it. I didn't realize Brian Ferentz has that in his contract. If they don't, at season's end, if they don't average 25 a game on offense, he's done.
I didn't even realize that.
Yes.
Wow.
That's why there's been all these references like, they're going to have to pick up the pace this week because they're already in the hole. They didn't make it to 25. Man, but no, there is no way. Send that clip to me, if you would. There is no way that's Dabo Sweeney. I mean, you've heard Dabo Sweeney talk. Did you think it sounded like him?
I haven't heard him talk in a while. Maybe I was bamboozled, Chico.
Send it over to me. I want to see this.
Okay.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back just about set to wrap things up on this Wednesday. Big Thursday planned as well. We'll tell you more about that when we come back as well. It's the Chico Bormann Show. More to come right here on the Big Play Sports Network. All right, welcome back. It is the Chico Bormann show here, and okay, boom. I cannot make heads or tails. Now, people are very good these days at, editing and, whatever. You played that clip of Dabo Sweeney. I didn't think it sounded like Dabo Sweeney. Play it one more time if you've got it on your phone.
Give me 1 sec to pull it up.
Okay. He's basically his offense has been bad, and he said, "Oh man, it's bad," and actually called out somebody. He said it's being compared to Brian Ferentz, and he made a reference to Brian Ferentz in Iowa, which it didn't seem like the smartest thing in the world. Go ahead. You got it?
I'm disconnected from the Bluetooth.
Okay, that's okay. Don't worry about it.
What I could do is pull up some real footage of Dabo talking if you wanted.
Well, let me.
When your offense is getting compared to a Brian Ferentz offense, you have problems.
I can't, like, his lips are moving. He's essentially saying those words, but editing today, I don't know how well somebody could do that, and I'm sure they could do it very well.
You want me to pull up a clip of Dabo Sweeney talking?
Yeah, please. Give me this is important.
Okay. Previewing.
Because this would be huge news. Like, he calls out another coach and program, like, and he's got his own stuff to worry about.
Again, proud of our guys for this past week and getting on the right track. Had a lot of great things in the game.
There's more Southern twang to it.
Excited about being back at home this week. Another opportunity for us to go play. It was an awesome environment last week.
My family.
I know this weekend will be as well. Night game in the Valley is always a lot of fun. So look forward to being a part of that. This is a really
so that you hear the little Southern drawl.
Team that can. They
to
got
his
some
voice.
weapons. They got some tools.
Okay, here's the way. You can cut that now.
And then this one.
You have problems. And a lot of work to do.
Not enough Southern drawl.
Oh, man, it was bad.
You can cut that. So I'm on different reputable websites, like ESPN, CBS, and there's not one headline on this.
That would be headline worthy.
This would be headline worthy. If Dabo Sweeney came out and said, "Oh, man, it's bad when we're getting compared to Brian Ferentz in Iowa," like, there would be a telephone call placed from Iowa City to somewhere in South Carolina. Coach Sweeney, this is Kirk. This is obviously Brian's dad. Get my son. What do they say? Keep my son's name out
your mouth.
Yeah, I haven't seen anywhere. Let me try one more site.
I probably was bamboozled, Chico. The tomfoolery and shenanigans have ensued.
Boom! You're supposed to be above that. You're supposed to be.
I thought it was hilarious. Like, oh my god!
Oh, it is funny. Yeah, it definitely is funny. Yeah, still nothing on another site. So I think you were had, Boom. I think you were had. By the way, speaking of, we talk about things going downhill right now at Northwestern. How about Michigan State with this stuff against Mel Tucker? I mean, and they've had a dark cloud. All we need to say is Larry Nassar, right? They've had that cloud hanging over and will for a long time. Now, I guess some girl who is she's a rape victim herself, and basically what she does is she comes and speaks to teams and colleges. And she is claiming that Mel Tucker harassed her. Mel is saying the conversation that they had, which was like text variety, phone variety, it was consensual, and she's saying, no, it wasn't. I don't even know if they have a hearing on this. I think they said October 3rd. Does this even get to October 3rd? I mean, if you're Michigan State, I don't even know if you want to wait till October 3rd, like, because this is not a place where there's zero tolerance, and then there's like Michigan State because of everything that's gone down. Now, if he didn't do it and it was consensual, Still not a good look, but okay. I mean, they paid, you know how much they paid him, right?
He got the big bucks.
He had the Brinks truck just, reversed in his driveway and dumped right there. He got a lot of money from Michigan State. I think right now, I don't even think they'll get to the hearing on October 3rd. I think the trustees, I think the board, whoever is going to, they're going to kind of have their way and say, no, buyout. This will be both sides working it out. Just, man, they cannot get out of their own way in East Lansing.
Yeah, that's a sticky situation, Chico.
It is.
This next hire for Michigan State is going to be crucial because
Yep.
you have to have someone who can lead them and help them move on and cope with everything that's ensued, because they're going to face a lot more blowback. This is only the beginning. So, that next hire is just pivotal.
I mean,
for
again,
the
I want to
direction
be
of that team.
I want to be clear. If he didn't do it, but it just seems, and again, this isn't just a random. Not that it's okay if it is, but this isn't just some random woman. This is a woman who is now making a living trying to help prevent rapes and by doing so talking to college football teams.
Oh, by the way, you brought her in to speak to your program.
I hope he didn't do this. I really do. I hope he didn't do this, but I don't know. All right. Hey, coming up on tomorrow's show, it's Thursday. We got Thursday night football. That means you got to have your Thursday night fantasy football lineups in. That means EK. And he will join us again tomorrow, 12:15. We'll talk to him about week 1. We'll talk to him about our dominant Browns defense. And if you have fantasy football questions, your lineup, week 2, you can certainly do that. Maybe you had Aaron Rodgers, you're looking for the replacement for him, or you just have normal start-em, sit-em for week 2. We can do that. We will do that each and every Thursday, including tomorrow, 12:15, with CBSSports.com and CBS Sports HQ's Eric Asilius. So we got that going on tomorrow. Do want to thank our buddy Bret Boone, talking a little Major League Baseball, going around the diamond as the season continues to roll along. The Guardians, I believe, finishing up their series with the Giants this afternoon around 4 o'clock, just shy of that. So we'll be talking about that as well, and then getting ready for week 2 of the NFL, Browns, Steelers. Kenny Pickett seeing ghosts, going to make him see more ghosts and all kinds of crazy goblins and all kinds of crazy stuff. Come Monday night in Pittsburgh, we're going to continue to talk Browns, Steelers tomorrow at noon. Don't forget Matt Fontana tomorrow 9 to 11. I'll be with you noon to 2. So will this guy, Michael Bombastic, my fantastic producer. For all of us here at Big Play Sports, I am Mike Chico Bormann. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everybody. See ya.